And I've been criticizing them for 8 years for doing it, pointing out that it's not the job of the media to take sides.
Caroline Leavitt is the press secretary at the White House, doing a great job. Such a great job that the ladies of The View feel the green monster coming upon.
Sunny Hostin, once a name celebrated for sharp legal insight and an unwavering voice for justice, now stands at the heart of a storm so intense it threatens to sweep her off The View's stage entirely. The show's reputation for fiery debates and bold opinions is no secret. But lately, Sunny herself has become the lightning rod for controversy, the kind even the show's drama-hardened producers may soon find too much to handle. Behind the scenes, whispers of her potential firing are growing louder, gaining momentum with every divisive comment she makes. The tension is thick, the stakes are soaring, and now it's no longer just about ratings. It's about survival.
Really don't like this woman. She's a good communicator. And so Joy Behar just offered her analysis on why Leavitt was picked for the role.
It all began with a single phrase, just a few words that sent shockwaves rippling through both the audience and social media. Sunny made headlines when she controversially referred to white women who voted for Donald Trump as uneducated, a remark that lit a firestorm few could have predicted. The backlash was swift and unforgiving. Devin Mostert, wife of Miami Dolphins star Raheem Mostert, didn't mince words, slamming the comment as disgusting and unacceptable. Social media erupted, with critics calling Sunny out as out of touch, elitist, and, perhaps most damning, a hypocrite. But this wasn't the first time Sunny's words hit a nerve, and it certainly wouldn't be the last.
When it comes to questions about who is the administrator of Doge, actually, do you believe that's an important question to have the answer to?
No, the issue is not who is technically the administrator, who has the title. Elon Musk is clearly running the show, the wealthiest person in the world, who has enormous conflicts of interests, who is helping to fund right-wing extremist organizations all over the world.
For years, Sunny Hostin has walked a fine line, balancing her role as a moral compass with her tendency to stir controversy. But her recent remarks may have pushed not just viewers, but even some of her co-hosts past the point of no return. As election results rolled in, showing Donald Trump's sweeping victory over Kamala Harris, Sunny didn't hold back. With visible disbelief, she called the outcome a reflection of America's deeply rooted racism and misogyny. This wasn't just a critique of policy or politics. It felt like a searing indictment of the American people themselves. While her co-hosts tried steering the discussion toward policy nuance, Sunny doubled down, pointing to a graph she said showed a clear racial divide in voting patterns. Her message was clear. To Sunny, this election wasn't about politics. It was about race and gender in America. The fallout came fast. Critics blasted her for painting with too broad a brush and alienating large segments of the audience. Alyssa Farah Griffin, the show's conservative voice, pushed back hard, arguing voters were driven by economic worries and a longing for stability, not bigotry. The exchange turned fiery, culminating in Sunny snapping, "The stats are the stats." But it wasn't just Alyssa who was frustrated. Even Sarah Haynes, known for her calm and empathetic tone, gently suggested that while racism and misogyny may play a role, they're not the entire story. Sunny wasn't having it. To her, the numbers spoke loud and clear, and anyone who couldn't see it was either willfully blind or complicit.
More insidious, secret partisan behavior of very liberal-dominated newsrooms working at the supposedly impartial.
The tension wasn't limited to on-air clashes. Behind the scenes, producers were reportedly furious. The View may thrive on bold opinions and fiery debates, but there's a thin line between provocative and alienating, and Sunny was dangerously close to crossing it. Though ratings remained solid, warning signs emerged in key demographics, and viewer feedback poured in, much of it harsh. Even longtime fans voiced their frustration, accusing Sunny of transforming a spirited roundtable into a one-woman crusade. While producers have long respected her voice and conviction, the rising wave of backlash was becoming impossible to ignore. After all, The View's success relies on connecting with a broad and diverse audience, and Sunny's increasingly polarizing presence was starting to feel less like an asset and more like a risk.
I would tell them to look at themselves very hard in the mirror and say, have we really not brought this on ourselves?
But if Sunny was feeling the pressure, she certainly didn't show it. In fact, she seemed more emboldened than ever, doubling down on her critiques and pushing the boundaries even further. While discussing Trump's immigration policies, she accused the administration of targeting migrants who look a certain way, a claim that immediately reignited the fire. Alyssa Farah-Griffin jumped in to fact-check, noting that many immigrants crossing the northern border were from countries like India and Mexico, not Canada. Sunny, clearly irritated, snapped, "Can I finish talking?" The exchange exploded online, with clips spreading across social media and audiences quickly choosing sides. Some praised Sunny for standing firm in the face of pushback, while others slammed her for being dismissive and refusing to engage in good faith debate.
The problem is that this wasn't the guy to fix anything. This is the guy that is the king of breaking things, as we can see.
Yeah. Well, Congresswoman, Elon Musk and Doge, the team, have been infiltrating and dismantling federal agencies. He says he's rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse, all while gaining access to some of our most sensitive data. So you sit on the Doge subcommittee run by
But the drama didn't end there. Sunny's personal life soon took center stage, adding more fuel to the fire. Her husband, Dr. Emmanuel Hostin, became embroiled in a legal scandal, facing allegations of insurance fraud, a case that quickly captured tabloid attention. Sunny stood by him publicly, accusing the insurance company of unfairly targeting her family. Still, the accusations cast a cloud over her credibility. Critics wasted no time pouncing, questioning her integrity and suggesting that her moral grandstanding on The View rang hollow in light of her private turmoil. Sunny had always divided opinion, but the combination of on-air outbursts and off-screen controversy now made her a magnet for criticism like never before. Behind the scenes, producers were reportedly torn on how to move forward. On one side, Sunny's fearless voice and sharp legal insight had long been part of what made her stand out. She didn't shy away from tough conversations, a trait that separated her from her co-hosts. But increasingly, her combative tone and polarizing statements were driving a wedge between the show and its audience, and tension on set was rising. Rumors swirled of a possible shakeup, with Sunny's spot at the table potentially in jeopardy. Yet others on the production team argued that firing her would only confirm the very criticism the show often tries to disprove, that The View can't handle strong, uncompromising voices.
Having some more conservative voices on your network, actually not making them pariahs, not directing your audience to feel that everything that Donald Trump does.
And then came the legal drama. The accusations against Emmanuel Hostin were serious, and while Sunny continued to stand by her husband's innocence, the case cast a shadow over her credibility. How could she continue positioning herself as a voice of moral authority when her own household was under such intense scrutiny? The tabloids had a field day, splashing sensational headlines filled with accusations and speculation. For Sunny, this was a deeply personal attack. But for her, critics, it was just another example of hypocrisy from a woman who had built her career on calling others out. As the pressure mounted, Sunny's supporters rallied to her defense, arguing that she was being unfairly targeted for speaking truth to power. They reminded everyone that The View had always been a platform for strong opinions and passionate debate, and that Sunny was merely doing her job. But her critics weren't buying it. To them, Sunny wasn't just voicing her opinions. She was alienating viewers, dividing the panel, and tarnishing the show's reputation. And with the allegations against her husband intensifying, it felt as though the walls were closing in.
Have you been discovered? Has Sunny Hostin discovered that the real motivation here, should you pass a baby bump tax incentive, is not to combat what looks like a very scary future of not just the U.S., but actually many countries across Western civilization, to reverse declining birthing rates, but actually what you're out there doing is trying to bring in new.
Mr. Speaker, has Sunny Hostin discovered the true motivation behind the push for a baby bump tax incentive? Is it really about reversing the frightening future of declining birth rates, not just in the US, but across Western civilization? Or is it, in reality, about trying to bring in more white babies? But Sunny Hostin isn't one to back down from a fight. If anything, the controversies seem to fuel her, pushing her to continue speaking out unapologetically and without hesitation, even as the backlash mounted. To her, the criticism was a sign that she was striking a nerve, challenging the status quo and forcing difficult, uncomfortable conversations. But to her critics, it was proof she was out of touch, unwilling to listen, and ultimately more. Focused on grabbing headlines than fostering meaningful dialogue. And so the question lingers. How much longer can Sunny Hostin hold on to her seat at the View table? Producers are reportedly weighing their options. The audience is growing more divided, and the tension on set is reaching a boiling point. One thing is certain. This drama is far from over. In fact, it feels like it's just beginning to unfold.
Absolutely absurd. The View is an absurd program. Yours, on the other hand, Will, is fantastic. You're doing a great show, and I'm so honored to be with you. Look, that's no surprise what The View is doing there. Every creative idea that the president and this White House come up with, they pan immediately, no matter what merit it may have. We are the Republican Party. We're the pro-family party. We always have been. We take great pride in that. We're working every day to rebuild a culture of life.
And yet, the chaos surrounding Sunny Hostin is just one domino in a much larger chain of controversies that has come to define The View in recent years. If you thought Sunny's polarizing presence was the most tumultuous storm this show has weathered, think again. Behind the seemingly polished facade of this daytime juggernaut, a tangled web of feuds, accusations, and public missteps stretches far beyond her seat at the table. The co-hosts themselves seem locked in a constant Cold War, where alliances shift with alarming speed and no one, not even the most seasoned veterans, is safe from the fallout. And if you've ever wondered how a show built on fiery debates manages to teeter so precariously on the edge without imploding, you're not alone. Take Alyssa Farah Griffin, for example. The former Trump administration official turned daytime commentator has been walking a fine line since the moment she joined the panel. Her conservative views have often put her at odds with her liberal counterparts, but lately, her clashes with Sunny have escalated to a whole new level. It's no longer just about political differences. It's personal. The tension between these two women has spilled into on-air exchanges that are as awkward as they are unmissable. Alyssa's frequent habit of interrupting her co-hosts has been called out repeatedly, most recently by both Sunny and Whoopi Goldberg. And this time, it wasn't just a casual correction. Whoopi's sharp retort during a live broadcast, "Hold on a second, just let me finish," was as much a public dressing down as it was a power move. Alyssa, visibly flustered, apologized, but the damage was already done. The clip went viral, with viewers either defending her as a victim of liberal bias or lambasting her for being unprepared and disruptive.
Say someplace that could really use a lot of cutting. You know, Elon has very many, what do you call it?
Government contracts?
Yeah. I think, because I don't remember, maybe y'all heard it, but I don't remember looking for an armored car. And I don't remember.
But Alyssa's interruptions are hardly the most controversial aspect of her time on The View. As a former ally of Donald Trump, she's faced relentless scrutiny from both viewers and her co-hosts. Joy Behar, never one to hold back, has openly questioned Alyssa's credibility, once sarcastically asking if she was still in touch with her old boss. And while Alyssa has repeatedly stated that she distanced herself from Trump after the January 6th events, her critics aren't ready to let her forget her past associations. The result? A near-constant air of defensiveness that's turned her into a lightning rod for online criticism and an easy target for her more seasoned co-hosts. Whoopi Goldberg, for her part, has been playing referee in this dysfunctional circus for years. But even she hasn't been immune to controversy. Known for her sharp wit and even sharper temper, Whoopi has landed in hot water more times than anyone can count. From her infamous comments about the Holocaust, where she controversially claimed it wasn't about race, to her dismissive attitude towards certain conservative viewpoints, Whoopi has become a polarizing figure in her own right. Her detractors accuse her of being out of touch and overly combative, while her supporters argue she's simply unafraid to speak her mind. Either way, the backlash has been fierce, with calls for her resignation growing louder after each misstep.
I don't care what it looks like. I don't remember asking for it. I don't know why I'm paying for it.
Yeah.
I want to know, when did I say, hey, we need another agency next to NASA?
Yeah.
So when did we start paying for his stuff.
About SpaceX overseeing FAA?
No. You know that he's going to be cutting.
Yeah.
And then there's Joy Behar, the longest-serving co-host and arguably the most unapologetically opinionated member of the panel. Joy's humor and sharp tongue have earned her a loyal fan base, but they've also made her a lightning rod for controversy. Her recent comments about Trump's new press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, are a perfect example. Joy joked that Leavitt only got the job because, in Trump's eyes, she's a 10. What was meant as a snarky critique of Trump's hiring practices, however, came across as a cheap shot at Leavitt's appearance. The backlash was swift and fierce, with critics accusing Joy of perpetuating the very sexism she spent her career speaking out against. Social media exploded with calls for an apology, but true to form, Joy doubled down, insisting that her comment had been taken out of context.
Clarify, she's probably been put in there because according to Donald Trump, she's a 10.
10 but leave. It isn't the only public figure to find herself in Joy's crosshairs over the years. Joy has gone after everyone, from Republican politicians to conservative commentators, often with a level of vitriol that leaves viewers, divided. Her critics argue that her attacks are mean-spirited and unproductive, while her fans see her as a fearless truth-teller either way. There's no denying that Joy's barb shave made her one of the most talked-about figures on daytime television, even Sunny hosts. Fiercest defenders have had to admit that her clashes with Joy have added yet another layer of tension to an already volatile environment. Their disagreements are often framed aside a logical Sunny's focus on systemic issues versus Joy's more individualistic approach, but there's an undeniable personal edge to their exchanges during a recent discussion about the removal of a Black Lives Matter mural in Washington, D.C. Sunny's emotional defense of the movement clashed with Joy's more pragmatic take on the issue. The argument escalated quickly, with both women raising their voices and interrupting each other. By the time the segment ended, the tension was palpable, and viewers were left wondering how long the two could continue to share the same stage.
Something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you.
But if you think the drama is confined to the co-hosts, think again. The View has found itself at odds with a growing list of public figures, from former White House staffers to Hollywood celebrities. Caroline Leavitt, Trump's new press secretary, has become a particular thorn in the show's side. After her first press briefing, where she announced plans to include independent journalists and social media influencers in the White House press pool, the co-hosts were quick to pounce. Sunny dismissed the move as a blatant attempt to undermine traditional media, while Whoopi suggested it would open the door for unqualified individuals spouting nonsense in the briefing room. Leavitt, not one to back down, fired back on social media, accusing the co-hosts of being out of touch and unwilling to adapt to the changing media landscape. The feud has only escalated since, with both sides exchanging barbs in what feels like an unending war of words.
I'm stunned and amazed by his new White House spokeswoman today. She's actually the youngest ever in that job.
And then there's the audience, whose loyalty has been tested time and time again. The View has always been a ratings powerhouse, but recent controversies have driven some viewers to jump ship. The show's critics argue that it has become too partisan, too divisive, and too focused on sensationalism. Even longtime fans have expressed frustration, with many calling for a return to the more balanced discussions the show once had. But for every viewer who tunes out, there's another who tunes in, drawn in by the sheer spectacle of it all. Because let's face it, love it or hate it, The View is nothing if not compelling. So where does that leave us? With a panel of co-hosts locked in an endless cycle of conflict, a growing list of public feuds, and an audience more divided than ever, the drama shows no signs of slowing down, and if anything, it feels like we're hurtling toward an inevitable breaking point. Will the show implode under the weight of its own controversies, or will it find a way to adapt and thrive in an increasingly polarized media landscape? One thing's for sure, the story isn't over yet.
Which, by the way, how annoying is The View getting? God, they're insufferable, that lot, aren't they? It's just a side.
By the way, how annoying is The View getting? God, they're insufferable, aren't they? It's just a side effect of the chaos, but what do you think? Is The View still a valuable platform for diverse perspectives, or has it turned into little more than a battleground for clashing egos? Are the co-hosts pushing the envelope, or have they crossed the line? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear from you.